Hi, and welcome to Making Music, sponsored by Guitar Showcase. I'm Gary Weinroth from Guitar Showcase. With me today is Val King from King Amplification.
Hey,
Val, glad to meet you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, listen now, Val, you've been repairing amps since you were a pup, I guess, or at least you had an interest. I know you used to come into Showcase when you were 10 years old.
Yeah, I first came into Guitar Showcase when I was 10 years old. I bought many a guitar over the years. As far as my electrical background, I built my first crystal radio when I was 6 years old. And over the years, I was the guy in the band always repairing the equipment.
Crystal radio with a little hairpin.
Exactly.
I had one. I didn't know you were that old. So you've grown to be a service center for like GK and Mesa Boogie and.
That's correct. We're
others?
authorized to do warranty repairs for Mesa Boogie, Gallion Kruger, Marshall, Vox, and soon to be Peavey.
Ah, okay. Are we working on Fender too?
Not soon.
Okay,
though.
okay, but soon, right? But now you do take care of all our old vintage Fender amplifiers.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, and today we're kind of talking about tube amplifiers because that is really your specialty.
Correct.
And you know, it's funny that the vacuum tube sort of went out 50 years ago, and it got to the point where, like on these Fenders and every other amplifier, where everything went to solid state. And I guess the reason was modern times. The transistor came out, and everybody thought, well, it does a great job, and it will take the place of the tube. So everybody was talking about how the vacuum tube was dead. In fact, didn't we lose all our manufacturers in this country for a period of time?
For the most part, that's true. A lot of the manufacturers shuttered all their facilities, and manufacturing continued to be done overseas, most notably in Russia, where all their equipment was still based on tubes.
And they basically sort of figured out that tubes just sound better.
When it came to tone, there was no question that tubes were just much better.
That's right, and to this day makes tube amplifiers that are pretty much exactly like they were 50 years ago.
That's correct, yeah.
Marshall, Mesa Boogie, Vox, many of the old tube amplifier manufacturers are still making tube amps.
Still making tube amps to this day. And, it's interesting, in a lot of places in the world, tube manufacturing equipment has been sought out, refurbished, and new companies have been set up to build tubes again. And the tube business is quite healthy industry, with a lot of companies coming into the market and a lot of new gear on tube equipment.
Are they making any in America now? I mean, do we have
there are a couple specialty companies and that are making tubes. They tend to be very high-end kind of tubes and very pricey.
Right. Well, you know, the music industry it's funny because we're one of the only industries left in where all the high-end gear is made in America. Mm-hmm. All the high-end guitars, all the high-end amplifiers, with a few exceptions. We have British Marshall and Vox, and but basically anything that's cool that people see on stage is made in USA.
Made in the USA. That's true.
That's all the gear. Great. We even the PA systems and it's sought after by the foreign people. They come over and especially the Japanese, they love our stuff.
That's correct.
And they want to own it, just like they want to smoke Marlboros and wear Levi's, So it's kind of interesting. Well, now your shop, tell me what you do now. You service, I know you do a lot of stuff for us and you do some of the warranty stuff. So what exactly do we have some shots of the interior of the shop. You have some specialized equipment. If we could go to those shots.
We do. We have a lot of different test equipment that we use. Here's a shot of our showroom. We sell speakers and tubes and different amplifier accessories. In terms of test equipment, we have oscilloscopes, signal generators.
That's what this kind of stuff is here.
Here's test benches. A lot of things that we do with an oscilloscope. We can actually see more than we can actually hear. So we'll inject a signal into the amplifier to simulate a guitar. We can tune that signal to a single coil pickup, humbucky pickups, or P90 style pickups. And we can monitor the signal that comes out of it on the oscilloscope to detect problems and make sure the amplifier is running accurately.
So there's some caution involved with tube amplifiers. I mean, a little higher voltage, right, than you had on the old solid-state stuff?
That's correct. A tube amplifier typically will have secondary voltage that are in excess of 600 volts, DC plate voltages that are in excess of 400 volts. At those voltages, one mistake can mean the end of your life.
We're dead.
Yep.
Okay. So don't try this at home. Let Val work on it. Okay, so that's an interesting, high voltage is an issue. Does that voltage play into the tone at all, or does it have more to do with the fact that when we have tubes we get a softer distortion? We tend to get harmonics that are even harmonics rather than than the odd harmonics that you get today?
That's correct. Tube distortion in the preamp section primarily tends to be even order harmonics. It's a very pleasing sound to our ears. We tend to use terms like creamy, warm, smooth to describe that type of distortion. Right. Whereas the distortion you might find in a solid-state amplifier, we tend to use terms like brittle, sterile, harsh. It's difficult to quantify scientifically or in common language, so we have a vocabulary that we use to describe that.
Can you see that thing on the oscilloscope?
You can see that on a waveform. When you look on an oscilloscope, there's a classic waveform for a Fender amplifier. There's a classic waveform for the Marshall type of distortion. Okay.